Okay, the fun is listening. Definitely. Need a monitor. Okay. All good? Okay, so what the sort of quick placement is going to be back here. Because we're going to yeah, kind of read it off screen. Right. You know, the image. And what I do just with my God. So, when you walk your dog, and we'll you can walk. He's gonna say he's the that's great.
Wireless mic check. Wireless mic check. 1, 2. 1, 2. Wireless mic check. 1, 2. 1, 2. 1, 2. Wireless mic check. 1, 2. 1, 2. 1, 2. 1, 2. 1, 2. 1, 2. One, two.
I know we really read it, sure. And I'll like originally the Alumni, yeah. Shingwauk, and then last night, more changing things. And I'm all the silly things that there's you're right. So sure you never start. You're slow. Yeah, man, that's on the photo. Honey. You'll train the trainer. Blanket, not that I think you do, but we have some. This idea is good, and that's not good for everybody. What? I got mine. Come on, they're all coming. We got free. Oh, I thought were you that from? Just watching that again. Five. You might be a little warm, but so they didn't get to it, they disappeared. kids are like that. Yeah. I was looking at my niece. Oh, that's I removed myself. This is falling over the way. I thought I get if I even I'm came out slightly as this kind of caused like this is like yeah. So I'm worried it's gonna become a fail and hit Mayor Chi-Miigwech. We are so quick. So that's moving. There. Man. Right? Yeah. Media circle, just real quick. That's pretty sturdy there. That's pretty deep up the bag. Huh? Well, I don't have a chair.
Wireless mic check for broadcast. Wireless mic check. Want to check your meters there? 1 2 1 2. Check wireless mic for broadcast. Check wireless mic for broadcast. Check 1 2 1 2. Let me know if you want more signal. Check 1 2. Check 1 2 wireless mic for broadcast. Are you good? Do you want more signal or are you good? You're good? 1 2.
Okay.
All you hear is what?
Of Teresheen, and then she'll come up and she'll read the code. Perfect. Yeah.
1 2 1
That's all.
2 1 2.
Just
1 2 1 2.
just tell there's some water in the shade over there. Okay. In case they feel.
1 2 1 2. Check 1 2. 1 2 1 2. 1 2 1 2. Tyson's hearing me on that end. 1 2 1 2. Check 1 2. 1 2 1 2. 1. Oh. Check 1 2. Check 1 2 1 2. Okay. Check. 1 2. Wireless check on stage. 1 2.
Hausan and Dinaway Magani Duke. Akaweda Shma, Akawena Winitamo, Jibwe Moyan. Eshkeda Chi-Miigwech Wenenim, Hengil Gakana, we are me Oma, Gabi Gikuno Ma, Widi Gamegong, Algoma University, Ejawin Jagadeg. Eshkeda Nimikipane, Shinstin to go, Minawa Gema, Joel Surret, Jaganash, Jinakazo Wayan. Migazin and Dotem, Ojibwe, Anishinabe, and Nini and Dao, Minawa, Ongwe, Hoe, Hodnashoni, Nini and Dao. Ishkeda Shamil Ma about to Gongish Kuniganing, Ewain Jabayan, about to Gongish Kuniganing, Obajwanong, Wayan de Bin Dagwis, says Yawin Jagadeg. Ishkena, Nemigway Chawinanim, Magete, Nishinabe, Abanik, Minawa, Ogima Banik. Migweche Mewan Jaco Ma Ga Ojabige Wad, the Bakwanagawanan, Hejawin Jagadeg. Ishkedash, mi ma, mi wapi. Jagana shimang. So I'll talk in English, relatives. Thank you for being here. Thank you for gathering here at Algoma University. My name is Joel Surret. I will be your MC today, and I want to take this time to first acknowledge some of our most important guests. Want to acknowledge the children of Shingwauk Alumni Association who are here with us today. As well, want to make mention that, with the members of the children of Shingwauk that are here, before we start, 1970 was a pivotal time in the history of Algoma University. And at that time, the operations of Shingwauk Hall had come to a close. In 1971, Algoma College at the time had moved in and not fully understanding the history that sits on this site. From there, over the next 10 years, we would see a pivotal moment in Canadian history. And it was in 1981, on these very front steps, we saw the very first survivor gathering that we know of that took place anywhere across the country. And when the survivors had returned to this site to begin to talk of their experience, one of the things that they did was they rolled up their sleeves, they picked up shovels, they picked up rakes, and they cleaned the cemetery that is here on this site. There are approximately 127 people that are buried on site here, many of whom children and former students who never returned home. And as the survivors cleaned the cemetery, restored the rock wall, raised money at the grassroots level, they erected a monument commemorating all former pupils of the Shingwauk Indian Residential School. And at that time, that set forward a series of cascading events that would create some powerful momentum, which brings us to 2008. And there were two pivotal things that happened in the history of Algoma University at that time. One of them being we were granted independence from Laurentian University, and Algoma became Ontario's 19th university. There were grandstands on the front lawn, a jazz band, and we were talking about the independence that Algoma now had. And at that time, it was also the time of the national apology from then Prime Minister Stephen Harper, acknowledging the things that survivors had gone through, part of that story. And one of the misconceptions that happens in the Canadian context is that when Indigenous people come together and we see a class action lawsuit in Canada, that's not a practice of the British crowns, the Canadian crowns, the federal and provincial crowns giving Indigenous people compensation. That is a Canadian practice. And depending on jurisdiction, whatever province you reside in has an impact on that. At the time, we saw the largest class action settlement in the history of Canada. And from a group of people that had every right to be angry, every right to be upset, they said, we want to take a portion of this that'll go towards healing, telling our story, telling the truth, and education so that we don't find ourselves in this situation. From there, that led to the establishment of the Aboriginal Healing Foundation. And from there, that led to the Truth and Reconciliation Commission, which gave us the 94 calls to action. And being that we are in 2025, we are coming up on the 10-year anniversary of the 94 calls to action. And if you haven't read the 94 calls to action, take the time to read them. And to quote somebody in this work, Dr. Kevin Lamoureux, you can ask yourself 3 questions. The first question is, why was this call to action made? And if you can answer that question, you begin to understand all of the things that we are working to address in this work. The second question you can ask yourself is, if this call to action were to be truly implemented, how would this make our community a better place? And that final question, this can be personal, this can be individual, it can be collective. But since the calls to action were made, what have I done to answer those calls to action? If you haven't read them, take the time to read them. There are 94 of them. At this time, we are going to get into an opening, and we're going to start with an opening prayer, someone to make that petition for us here as we gather. And then we're going to go into a drum song. The drum will sound its voice. And of course, what our elders tell us is the drum itself represents the heartbeat of all living things. When you listen to the drum, it represents the heartbeat of the very universe itself. And our elders tell us that it speaks for us in a way that we never could. So I will turn it over to Mr. James Roach, Ozawa Ganu, who is a member of the Garden River First Nation, has a long historical connection to this site, and he will make that petition on our behalf, and we'll turn it over to our singers to conclude our opening in a proper way. Ahaw, miigwech.
Bonjour. Ozal gnu nishnakaza chichak dodem. Kitaganzi bing donji. Ojibwe Anishinaabe and Dao. I don't really like these things too much, but without this, you can't hear me. So, one thing I wanted to point out, this staff here. I don't know if you can see it in the resemblance, but looks like a crane, right? And this stick that was in the bush is the one that holds the name for Makwa Waakaa'igan. Pretty important job. The reason why it holds the name is because when I was asked to find a name for the building wasn't yet here. So it took me probably about 6 months to realize that can't name something that's not there, right? So I talked to a couple of elders, friends of mine, and they told me that I should find a stick, or the stick will find me, and it will hold the name of Makwa Waakaa'igan until he's here. So that's the story behind this staff. This morning, I want to start off by saying miigwech to Martin Bear and Joel for offering tobacco for me to petition Spirit on your behalf. I've been involved in this project for probably, I wouldn't say from inception, but close to. And in our way, we're taught that Spirit comes first. And what happened at that time was the then President Ozma Vesna, and she no longer works here. What's her name? Elizabeth Makwa. They approached me and we sat in the back, and they told me about what the project was, and they said that at that time they said they knew that Spirit comes first, so they wanted to offer me tobacco to participate whenever I could. This tobacco here was given by Martin and Joel. Petition Spirit on your behalf. So at this time, we'll do that before we run out of time.
Chi-Miigwech for making that petition on our behalf and taking care of that asema and making that offering. At this time, we are going to go over to our singers and we say Miigwech Gibijayeg to our singers. The Under the Pine singers want to acknowledge Dion Surrett, Joseph Surrett, John Surrett, and Kunsi Santos for being here with us. And again, when we come together as Indigenous people all across what we call Turtle Island, and again, when we say Turtle Island, we are referring to the Americas, not just Canada, not the United States, the Americas. And as Indigenous people, we never crossed the border crossed us. But a common thread that you will see is using the drum to sound its voice and remembering all of those singers that came before us here in this community. As I spoke to 1970 being a pivotal time in the history of this institution, it was also a pivotal time in this community. It was one of the first times we had gathered and had a powwow celebration. And at that time, we had to play records because we had no drum in our community. Flash forward several decades, we have singers, we have good music, our songs are sung, and it's also a powerful metaphor in terms of where we have come and also that path forward. We say Miigwech to our singers. We'll turn it over to our singers for a drum song, a welcome song, and we will proceed with our agenda. Aho, Miigwech. Chi-Miigwech singers, relatives, feel free to give our singers a round of applause. It is a day of celebration. Want to say a huge miigwech to all of our delegates who have made their way here to Algoma University. In particular, you will see some very important people here sitting behind me. We welcome all of our leaders, all of our delegates, whether they are here at the university, the city of Sault Ste. Marie, the province of Ontario, representation from the Government of Canada, and as well, we want to make mention of our chiefs and former chiefs who are here with us today. In particular, want to acknowledge Chief Mark McCoy of Batchewana First Nation. We say miigwech to you for being here with us. At this time, it is my pleasure to call upon Mr. David Steele. David Steele works in senior leadership here at Algoma University as a vice president. He is the chief operations officer here at Algoma University. We call upon Mr. Steele to read a land acknowledgement and as well acknowledging the many years of experience and gifts he brings to the work. Dave has worked in the realm of education for many, many years and has supported many of the developments that we have here in our community. At this time, we turn it over to Mr. David Steele.
I have to raise it. So, yeah. Hello, any bonjour, good morning, and everyone, welcome. I would like to take a moment to respectfully acknowledge that we are gathered on the traditional lands of Anishinaabeg within the Robertson-Huron Treaty Territory, home of the Garden River and Batchewana First Nations. This land has also been home to the Métis Nation, whose enduring connection to this territory continues to this day. This land, known to many as Bawating, is a place of great cultural and historical significance to Indigenous peoples. We honor the vision of Chi-Miigwech, who imagined this land being used for the purpose of education for our children and for those yet unborn. Today, we are ceremonially turning the earth to mark the beginning of construction of the Makwa Waakaa'igan. We carry that vision forward with deep gratitude and respect. Makwa Waakaa'igan is more than a building. It represents a shared commitment to fostering cross-cultural learning, understanding, and relationship building between Indigenous communities and all who come here. This space will stand as a safe, welcoming, and inclusive space for teaching, learning, healing, and reconciliation for today and for generations to come. As someone who has always had the privilege to learn and grow on this land, I have come to understand the importance of honoring our Indigenous voices, histories, and the responsibility we all share with regards to reconciliation. Thank you, Miigwech.
Chi-Miigwech, Dave, thank you for those words. At this time, relatives, it is my honor, it is my esteemed pleasure, and it is with great humility that I call on our next delegate and next speaker. Somebody who has been in this work going back to the very beginning when we talked about 1981 on the front steps. Somebody who has been a chief for their community, negotiating land claims, somebody who has been active in this work for Anishinaabe people, Indigenous people, Mushkegowuk people, also our first chancellor here at Algoma University. And as of last week, it is my honor to introduce Dr. Shirley Horn.
Oh, Miigwech. Is that okay now? Miigwech. First of all, to Creator who brought us here today. We have faithfully followed the direction we were given through spiritual advisement and the instincts of who we are as the little kids that came to this school. Many of us walked up those front steps, those very steps, for the first time when we were very small children. And it changed our lives forever. I want to thank Creator for bringing us here. I want to thank all of the people along the way that put their footprints forward, their handprints, that provided the words, that provided the love, that provided the services, that provided the resources, the space, everything about what was needed for us to take this journey together. And that's what we did right from the inception. This is the culmination of Chief Shingwauk's vision, and it is with deep humility and gratitude that we were, our brothers and sisters, we were a part of this dream. We didn't know it when we were children, but we were a part of this dream. We were the backbone of the dream that had to step forward and bring the stories out. And our dream, the dream is coming to fruition. We're turning the soil, but that is only the beginning. The building will be built. It houses the stories of our people that attended this residential school and other residential schools. Their stories of their lives are in there. They'll be there for people to research, to have access to the stories of what went on in Canada and how this country was built and how we as a people had to take that journey, had to take that back. And I'll always remember the words of Dan Pine, and through the help of a wonderful professor, Don Jackson, who helped start this movement and helped us to get off the ground. We are eternally grateful. But he asked the question of Don, how are we going to change this? Who are we going to count on to help us change this story? And Chief Dan Pine said to him, bring the people together. They will know what to do. I'll never forget that. And it's true. It's true. We have been very honored to be able to hold that dream in front of us, to be able to move forward and get this respect as we told our story, as we unfolded the evidence, as we gathered our people together year after year after year. And each year we became stronger and stronger and stronger so that we could hold this dream up, we could hold this vision up, and we could say, this is our rightful place. This is the institute that will have to put that, what was taken away, they'll have to put that back. The languages, the knowledge, the the history of this place, this site, the history of this land, the history of its people, and who we are and who we were in the past and who we will become in the future. It is there in place. I'm looking at the photos that are sitting on these chairs over here. Oops, I guess they get our attention. They knew I was talking about them. Susie, Shirley Roach, Mike Kakagi, Fran Luther, who have passed on to the spirit world, but they gave their life to this work. Irene is still here, but she was unable to be here today. But we honor them because we held each other up. We supported each other, and we had the same dream. We had the same values to go forward and make. And the beautiful room that we have that talks about that history is there. That was a 10-year project. So as we move forward, we have the archives, we have now we're going to have the building part of it, which is so great. And I am ever grateful to my colleagues, to my sisters and my brothers who are here today to celebrate. And I say Miigwech on their behalf as well. Miigwech.
Chi-Miigwech, surely, truly powerful words. And one of the things that I often speak of, and I think this is very timely given today, you know, if we look to the Ojibwe language and we go back to that of our great grandparents and we go forward to that of our great grandchildren, in Ojibwe culture, in the Ojibwe worldview, the word for great grandparent and great grandchild are one and the same. That's Andanaku Bijigay, Andanaku Bijigun, Donku Bijigun, depending on your dialect, wherever you come from. And it talks about a linkage referring to my line, my lineage, talking about a root ancestor. And if you place yourself in the center of that, 3 generations forward, 3 generations back, that's 7 generations. And where this gets really interesting is that every single person here, at one time in your existence, you were somebody's thought 7 generations into the future. And at some point in that story, you will be somebody's memory 7 generations into the past. Ishkedash ni nonda goze da kiwenzi aban obazan makawad zidaban gajinakazo chawasa iwenjabad Mrs. Zagaiganing ejuwinjagadeg. An elder who I sat with, his name was Obazanaban, and he says that everybody was put here for a reason. Everybody has a purpose in this life, and part of our purpose is to find out what that reason is. And the way we understand that, he always said that you are to be of service to your fellow human being. Your purpose in this world is to help your fellow human being. And I want to acknowledge each and every member of the Children of Shingwauk Alumni Association who are here with us today. And if you choose, we'll invite you to stand so people can see you. And if not, that is okay. And also recognizing those who are not here with us today. You know, that teaching about being there and being of service to community. Dr. Shirley Horn is now up in her 80s. These are individuals who answered the call long before we understood the impacts of things like intergenerational trauma, post-traumatic stress disorder, and they continue to remain active in the work every single day. And if we need inspiration, if we need an example of what this actually looks like, we don't need to look far. I want to invite CSAA, if you would please stand, relatives. These are the individuals who started the work. These are the individuals who this work is for, who this work is from, and who this work is about. We are forever in debt, and we are forever with gratitude to you, our survivors, and as well that teaching of being of service to your community. I think you live that to the fullest, and you lead by example every single day. We say miigwech to you. At this time, it is my honor, my privilege, and with great humility, I turn it over to Ogama Ganuanini, Gajinakazud, Ogama Khan, Ambajawanang Ashkuniganing, Ejawin Jagadeg, Chief Mark McCoy of the Batchewana First Nation.
Hani Mojo, Ogama Ganu Nina Disnakas Makwadorum, Batchwana Dunjaba. My name is Chief Mark McCoy, and I'm from Batchwana First Nation. Mina Gujeb, Kinawea. And starting, I want to acknowledge that the drum song the singers at the drum, the staffs, the dignitaries that are here, and the survivors from the residential school here at Shingwauk. On behalf of Batchewana First Nation, I want to welcome you to our beautiful territory of Bawating, place of the rapids, signatory to the Robinson-Huron Treaty of 1850. Today is very significant because it marks the beginning of a new chapter in Algoma University's history, a history that hasn't always been positive. Some time ago, someone had a vision of what was to come, and here we are today breaking ground on this new wing, Makwa Waakaa'igan. I understand this new wing will hold residential school archives, have a research development area, as well as classrooms or offices. I want to acknowledge all the hard work of Algoma University administration, the support staff to get to the point we are at today. I was quite surprised at how fast the old wing came down. He's fast. I want to acknowledge the efforts of Algoma U and the children of Shingwauk alumni to consult with Batchewana First Nation through this process, through monthly and quarterly meetings. It was very respectable that they reached out to us often. I want to thank or acknowledge the ceremonies, like James said in the beginning, the spirits, our ancestors that guided this process as well is extremely significant and important to Batchewana First Nation that this was incorporated into the planning process. And lastly, I want to acknowledge the survivors and I want to acknowledge the children that didn't make it home. Their stories will never be forgotten. This new wing, Makwa Waakaa'igan, will hold their names and tell their stories for generations to come. Miigwech.
Also want to acknowledge leadership from Garden River First Nation. Um, Garden River was not able to be in attendance today, but we want to acknowledge that ongoing relationship and as well offer our gratitude for that continued partnership and support from Gitagon ZB. At this time, it is my privilege, it is my honor, and it is with great humility that I introduce our next delegate and next speaker. You know, and right here on this side of the road, this is Algoma University, and this is where Makwa Waakaa'igan will stand. You know, and as an undergraduate institution primarily focused in teaching in the spirit and vision of Chief Shingwauk, focused in Northern Ontario, our address is 1520 Queen Street East. Across the street is one of our sister institutions, one of 9 post-secondary institutes recognized in the province of Ontario. And ironically, the address is 1491 Queen Street. And I think that's significant because a lot of this work, when we talk about decolonization, indigenization, truth and reconciliation, this can only be done in partnership. And in the spirit and intention and vision of the two-role wampum that is held between our two institutions, while we have a responsibility, we have a canoe, we have a boat on this river, this journey through life and this path of education, we run parallel with our sister institution. And this is to bring us in alignment to the vision of a gentleman who this institution bears his name. And in a humble way, I also acknowledge that with great humility, I am a descendant of this man. He happens to be my great, 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 great grandfather. And at the age of 60, he snowshoed to Toronto. That's 500 miles. That's 805 kilometers if we're on this side of the border. And that's more than 100,000 steps. And he brought this vision of education to the forefront. And as a result of that, he walked that same journey back home. 800 kilometers, 500 miles at 60 years old. I like to think I'm in pretty good shape and get around well, but I don't think I could do that in the depths of winter on snowshoes. It's an incredible testament to the vision, and with great humility, I call upon Mary Wabano McKay, President of Shingwauk, Chi-Miigwech.
Miigwech Joe. Bojo, Wache Miswe, Minwewe Beneshi Kwe Indigo, Josh Kwobaneshi and Dodem. My name is Mary Wabano McKay. Thanks for the introduction, Joel. I want to acknowledge, first of all, the survivors that sit before me, the residential school warriors who were relentless in their work and ensuring that we all understood their experiences as children in these schools. I too am a residential multi-generational survivor. Many of our families have experienced significant trauma as a result of our children being taken and placed in places like this across this country. It's alarming to me that many Canadians continue to still learn for the first time the existence of these schools. So the work that's happening here with Makwa Waakaa'igan cannot be underscored enough. The importance of this work of telling the truth of this country's history. It's not Indigenous history. It's not First Nations history. It's the history of Canada. And it's something that all Canadians must own up to. I want to acknowledge the name of Shingwauk. Shingwauk, Joel spoke to, had a vision for his people, for Anishinaabe people, recognizing that the world was changing very rapidly across Turtle Island, that the newcomers that were coming to this land were not going to stop, they would keep coming. And so, how are we going to not only welcome them, but how are we going to coexist on this beautiful place we call home? And so, what we've learned over the years is that history has been very tumultuous, to say the least. It brought a lot of trauma onto our people. And we see the evidence of that trauma today. We don't have to look very far. Looked at any downtown core in any city in this country, on the First Nations as well. And so our work at Shingwauk Chi-Miigwech is to honor that vision, that hope, that dream that Shingwauk Kos had so long ago. That once we've come through all of the trauma of residential schools, the Indian Act, the 60s scoop, the child welfare system, the provincial and federal jail system, the education system, places of violence for our children continue to this day. And so our role at Shingwauk Chi-Miigwech is to ensure that our people have a place to retreat to, a place where they can grow and learn about who they are as Anishinaabe people, strong, proud, hardworking people with kind hearts. That's who we are as Anishinaabe people and have always been and continue to be, in spite of all of the trauma and the violence that continues to be directed at us. And so our role at Shingwauk Chi-Miigwech is to ensure that our programs, our services, our very identity as an organization is reflective of those values and principles as Anishinaabe people. That while we continue to face the violence of this modern world, that we are armed with a quality, rigorous education rooted in Anishinaabe ways of knowing and married with Western viewpoints. We take the best of both worlds and provide a cross-cultural education that is of quality, that also addresses the multi-generational impacts colonization has and continues to have in our communities. I want to honor the work of those survivors that have led this pathway, that allowed us to continue to grow through the vision of those to tell their story, to tell that in a good way. While the archives are here to reflect on that history, across the road at Shingwauk Chi-Miigwech, we are looking to the future, armed with healing, armed with our medicines and traditional knowledge, as well as Western-based knowledges, so that we can create a better and brighter future for Anishinaabe, to find our rightful places on our lands. I want to acknowledge my own grandmother, Maganet Wabano. She was there on the floor when Prime Minister Harper gave the apology. At the time, she was 103 years old and the oldest living survivor of residential schools. It is her that determination that I see and her ability to forgive. I'm not quite there yet. I don't know if I ever will be in this lifetime, but she certainly has left a legacy for her family, just like you have with yours. Miigwech.
This time, relatives, it is my honor and privilege to introduce our next speaker and delegate representing Mr. Terry Sheehan. I call upon Beverly Fiaconi.
Hello, I'm sorry Terry couldn't be here. He would have enjoyed this event very much. The earth turning to Makwa Waakaa'igan is a powerful step toward healing and reconciliation. And Terry Sheehan is proud that his government has supported it with more than $12 million in investments. This survivor-led center will be a national hub to honor the truth, lift up voices, and inspire a shared path toward hope and understanding. I do have a certificate here for the Children of Shingwauk Alumni Association. I'll be giving that to you a little later. Thank you so much. Miigwech.
Chi-Miigwech, Beverly, and I also want to wholeheartedly acknowledge Terry. You know, Terry has been our member of parliament for this community for many, many years. And what I like to acknowledge about Terry is every time we have one of our community powwow celebrations, not only does he come, he participates, he gets out, he dances, he shakes a leg, he can cut a mean rug on the powwow trail. And as well, through a journey of self discovery in his own family, they're in a process of reclamation. And Terry and his family, through his wife, him and his wife and I are of the same Dodem. She would be my clan relative. And Terry not only attends our powwow celebrations, he also takes the time to sponsor many of our intertribal spot dances. And life happens as it does sometimes. Unfortunately, things happen as they do. Terry wasn't able to be here in person, but know with certainty that Terry would be here, and Terry is a huge supporter of this project and all the things that happen here in this community, and a fine example of building those relationships. So, Chi-Miigwech to Terry Sheehan. This time, I want to call upon remarks from the Minister of Indigenous Affairs and First Nations Economic Reconciliation, Minister responsible for the Ring of Fire, Economic and Community Partnerships. I want to call upon Will Boma, Parliamentary Assistant, Ministry of Indigenous Affairs and First Nations Economic Reconciliation.
Good morning, everyone. It's a real pleasure to be here and an honor to join you all in my capacity as Parliamentary Assistant to Greg Rickford, Ontario's Minister of Indigenous Affairs and First Nations Economic Reconciliation. I also have the distinct pleasure of serving as the Parliamentary Assistant to George Peary, Ontario's Minister of Northern Economic Development and Growth, as well as Premier Doug Ford through the Ministry of Intergovernmental Affairs. I know I speak for my colleagues in saying that this truly is a very, very special moment. This groundbreaking for the Makwa Waakaa'igan Future Center of Cultural Excellence here at Algoma University. There have been many incredible community partnerships along the way, and on behalf of the Government of Ontario, I would like to thank Chief Mark McCoy of Batchewana First Nation, Chief Karen Bell of Garden River First Nation, the Children of Shingwauk Alumni Association, and Algoma University for their continued work and leadership that has brought us here today. The name Makwa is a tremendous fit for this project. the carrier of medicine, a healer for body, for mind, and for spirit. As we have heard today, the Center of Excellence will be a powerful space for learning, for healing, and for deepening our collective understanding, which is why, under Premier Ford's leadership, we took an all of government approach to ensure that this vision would become a reality. Through our targeted programs like the Northern Ontario Heritage Fund and the Investing in Canada Infrastructure Program, we have been a proud partner in this community project. We are tremendously grateful for our partnerships with the Children of Shingwauk Alumni Association and Garden River First Nation. Thank you for your integral work that you do in honor of residential school survivors, their families, and the ancestors who never came home. Their stories of resilience, of truth, and of healing form the foundation of this center, and it is a living testament to their legacy. Whether local, national, or international, visitors can look forward to a space for cultural and spiritual teachings, cross-cultural understanding, and reconciliation in action. And in doing so, will help ensure that future generations grow up in a province that honors the past, amplifies Indigenous voices, and promotes continued healing together. And so, on behalf of Minister Greg Rickford, thank you for this tremendous opportunity to join you today during National Indigenous History Month to celebrate a momentous milestone for your entire community. Thank you very much.
Chi-Miigwech, Will. At this time, it is my honor, my privilege, my pleasure, with great humility again, to introduce our next delegate, our next speaker. And this is an individual who continually shows up for community, making time from family life, from personal life, professional life, and is very active in the work and has been a huge champion for the work that happens here, and as well supporting the Indigenous community of Bawating and as well the urban Indigenous community of Sault Ste. Marie. With great respect, I call upon Mayor Matthew Schumacher to share some words.
Ani bonjour, Mayor Matthew Shoemaker, Dijnakas, Bawating, Sault Ste. Marie, Dunjiba. I want to thank the survivors for the work that they've done to bring us to today's momentous occasion. Not just recognize that work, but thank you for the work. It means that the learning that will happen here for generations to come is built on a solid foundation, built on your shoulders. I'm pleased to be here on behalf of the City of Sault Ste. Marie to celebrate the groundbreaking for Makwa Waakaa'igan, a nationally significant Indigenous cultural center that will soon stand on this very land behind us. Makwa Waakaa'igan will be a powerful testament to the strength, resilience, and leadership of the Children of Shingwauk Alumni Association. Their decades of advocacy, their lived experiences, and the commitment to truth and reconciliation have made this project possible. This center will be more than just a building. It will serve as a statement that stories must be honored and that healing is possible when communities come together with honesty, purpose, and respect. I am proud that this important project is taking root here in Sault Ste. Marie on the site of the former Shingwauk Indian Residential School, here in Bawating. The history of this place is complex, painful, but through Makwa Waakaa'igan, it will become a space of reflection, remembrance, and renewed strength. I want to commend Algoma University for its continued efforts to foster healing and learning through partnerships with Indigenous leaders, elders, survivors, and community members. This is a model of how post-secondary institutions can contribute meaningfully to reconciliation by listening, by sharing authority, and by investing in the relationship that honors Indigenous knowledge and experience. Makwa Waakaa'igan will be both a memorial and a gathering place, a place that preserves difficult truths while also nurturing an understanding, educating hope, and providing for future generations. So on behalf of the City of Sault Ste. Marie, thank you to all of you who have brought us to this moment. We look forward to supporting the next chapter in your journey, one rooted in truth, guided by Indigenous voices, and committed to reconciliation in action. Miigwech.
And at this time, I want to introduce our member of provincial parliament. I call upon Mr. Chris Scott.
Thank you so much, and really appreciate. Good morning, everyone. Really appreciate being here today. Want to congratulate Algoma University and everybody who made this possible. Today's a very important milestone. It's the beginning of the construction in the first of its kind, as we've heard, Cultural Center of Excellence right here in Sault Ste. Marie, and we should all be extremely proud of that. And it's happening because of the determination, the stories we heard today, and a lot of people we've mentioned already that have maybe touched the file but aren't here with us, including Ozma Vesna, the former president, who was an absolute champion on bringing this issue down to Toronto. For me, this is a bit of a special uh, my I guess background on this, working in the Ministry of Colleges and Universities, working with the former MPP Ross Romano, being part of the meetings as they were trying to find, the funding and the support to ensure that we could move this ahead at the provincial level. Those two were fierce advocates down in Toronto, and they couldn't have done that without the coalition of the willing that started right here. So thank you, everybody. That was part of that. I think I had the chance a couple months ago to sit down with Algoma's leadership and talk about the next steps and talk about the path forward here. And in that, we had a really good discussion about this building, and it's going to be a space for truth telling, healing, learning, and it's going to be grounded in the history of the land and guided by those who've lived it. It's going to be, I think, incredibly special to come back here and get a chance to tour the building when it stood up. So thanks again to everybody. I think it's going to create a space for meaningful dialogue and dialogue that deepens our understanding and drives change even further. Um, so when the doors open in 2026, I think it's not just going to stand as a building, but as a living commitment to reconciliation more broadly, and one that this community and this province can all be proud of. Thank you.
At this time, I am honored to introduce our next speaker, our next delegate, serving as the Niaganid and the Vice President of Anishinaabe Initiatives, as well as equity, and supporting many of the things that really drive this work forward that we are speaking to today. A man who has served in leadership for many, many years. He has been a fierce advocate for Indigenous rights, working at the federal level, at the provincial level, has also been in the practice of law for more than 30 years. It is my pleasure to introduce Martin Baer.
Honey, Miigwech do. Jawa mach da wak kidi an ngoma pike jep. Miigwech tam den den gundak nigan in am de beot jindagas kunujik. I want to begin just by thanking the members of the Shingwauk Alumni Educational Association, the the children of the Shingwauk Alumni Association that went to school here, and I'm really happy that they're here with us this morning. Minoni Miigwech na maba zawa genu gan sak to get pika jeb. Minogunda gun this morning jeba. I want to thank Zawa Ganu for our opening ceremony this morning to help open our gathering, and also to thank our drum group for providing our opening song. Miigwech dindina jemnido gabi don't mandagi je gab chugun najun mampi kajep minoshque miigwech dina kinigwe obi don't ten kazia mampi and sigi jet skugmagwing. So I also want to begin by thanking the Creator for bringing us this beautiful day and also for bringing us the gifts that we use every day on Mother Earth. I also want to acknowledge today that we're on the traditional lands of the Garden River and Batchewana First Nations. And I also want to say miigwech to Amy Sayers from Shingwauk Educational Trust just over here for allowing us to use their Eagle staff here as part of this important ceremony this morning. So miigwech Amy. I also want to say Chi-Miigwech to now Dr. Shirley Horn and other members of the Children of Shingwauk Alumni Association for all their hard work to make sure today happened, but also for their ongoing work in educating Canadians about this dark past of Canadian history. Because this morning we stand here on sacred lands because our children were taken away from our families and communities and were stripped of their identities and languages. Many never came back home, and this land is especially sacred because many of our children are buried just here behind us. This is why this ceremony is so important this morning. And finally, with the construction of the Makwa Waakaa'igan, we will ensure that we will forever have a place to remember the children who attended the Shingwauk Indian Residential School and have a place here at Algoma University to continue to educate Canadians about this important part of Canadian history and to never forget the past. Naha, Chi-Miigwech.
Also want to give a shout out to some people that are not on the agenda, but also very vital. Want to say a huge miigwech to Mike Blair and 705 Sound. Want to say a huge miigwech to Mike McDonald from APTN, and also want to say a huge miigwech to Ben Jonah from Rogers, and to all of our relatives who are joining us via live stream from different parts of the country, different parts of the province. And when we talk of Makwa Waakaa'igan, this is not just of benefit to Sault Ste. Marie. This is not just of benefit to the province of Ontario. This is not just of benefit to Canada. This is a vision. This is the culmination. This is the result of many years of hard work, vision, petitions, tobacco offerings, and this will make positive contributions to the entire world. We say miigwech to all of our relatives, all of the important people involved in organizing this event. In particular, want to recognize the Alumni and Institutional Advancement Office. We say Chi-Miigwech to Colin Wilson and as well Colin's team. Let's have a round of applause for our organizing committee, folks. And we are going to get to the turning of the earth photo. So we want to call upon Shirley Horn, George Diamond, Ogama McCoy, Mayor Shoemaker, Chris Scott, a representative for Mr. Terry Sheehan. We want to call upon Mary Wabano McKay, Martin Bayer, Ozawa Gnu, Colin Wilson, Craig Fowler, David Steele, and Don Mitchell. We are going to gather in the staging area and we are going to have a photo op. Make sure your photo ready. I don't think we have any filters on the photos, so make sure you're on point if you want to look good in your photo. We're not going to be using filters today for that. So we'll put that call out to our delegates. Once we get to the earth turning, we're going to put our singing group on standby and we will have some social time, some time to have some refreshments and those types of things as well. Also want to call upon Will Boma as well to come and partake in our earth turning photo. All right, relatives. So we are going to officially conclude the formal agenda and move into the informal agenda. I want to acknowledge Dushko from Maple Rangers. Dushko, where are you at? Come on up this way. This is Dushko. He is senior leadership from Maple Rangers. They were the successful proponent through the RFP process. They put forth a very beautiful, beautiful proposal demonstrating sensitivity, culturally informed practices, and want to take this opportunity to introduce Dushko to the survivors. So CSA is right here. Come on down, come and meet people, come and say hello. We are grateful to Maple Reindeers for being here on site and as well having senior leadership to be a part of our Earth Turning event. As we conclude the formal agenda and move into the informal portion of our agenda, we're going to get our singing group here to close out the formal agenda. I do have one more shout out. I want to call on Megan from Algoma University. Meg, come up here. Megan is one of the hardest working people I know, one of the busiest people I know here at Algoma University, and oftentimes is one of the unsung heroes. Always shows up, never complains, never asks for credit. Definitely an MVP behind the scenes. Let's have a round of applause here for Meg, folks, for putting together a beautiful agenda. Meg, we appreciate you. We value you. We are so grateful for everything you do for us. And Miigwech for the awesome MC notes in point form. Thank you, Meg. At this time, we're going to turn it over to our singing group to close us out. This will conclude the formal agenda, and we are going to move into the informal agenda. Say hi, come talk to our elders. You know, they're awesome. Within 2 minutes, they'll be having you laughing, smiling. They like to joke. You'll also learn something very important. Incredible, incredible people. Stick around. We have refreshments and good opportunity to network and socialize. So we'll turn it over to our singers. We say Chi-Miigwech, Nimengyo, Nagamawa Jig, and we'll turn it over to Under the Pines to officially conclude our agenda. All right, Miigwech singers. So that will officially conclude the formal agenda. We now move into the informal portion. So stick around, socialize as well. If you have not had the opportunity to talk with our elders, our survivors, now's the time. Say hello, introduce yourself. We say Miigwech to all of you for being here. And with that, I will say Miego Mamanik and Wewe Tuyan Amigwech Ga Bizendawieg. Thank you all for listening. That is all I have to say. Aho.